All right, so as the announcement just said, this meeting's being recorded, so we have a 1 hour work session scheduled ahead of our council meeting to just go over last minute things with the budget. If anybody has any questions or comments, they can feel free to use the chat function on Zoom, send me a message and I'll try to respond to you as quickly as I can. For the recording, if people don't mind just turning off or keeping off their video while they are not engaged in the conversation, that would be very helpful. And at the time when there is public comment, we'll repeat the reminders, but just if you don't mind stating your name for the record.
Well, are we gonna have public comment?
Probably, right? Not very good session. And just a housekeeping reminder that if we do get interrupted and can't finish our conversation in any way, being disruptive, we'll end this meeting, send out a new link, rejoin so that we can carry on.
Thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to our distinguished council president to lead the discussion.
We're just going into the fee schedule proposal, right? So,
Yeah, so I can pull up for you. It's in your drive there. I didn't print off budget stuff for us today, so I apologize, but it is in the.
It's in the piece, okay, here it is.
It's in there and I can pull it up. So based on some of our conversations at the last work session, changed a few things and just updated the budget to reflect them. So I think the big ones that I highlighted in blue, the ones that we had discussed. So the top one was the new construction. So I updated that to, instead of doubling the fee for it, I lowered it so it's more in keeping with inflation. Still brings us, we were probably a little bit low based on some of our other towns, so it brings us to 3,500, which is kind of comfortably in the middle and more in line with inflation, and keeping that stipulation that it's still half of the Montgomery County fee for the 3,500. The next one was the variance, and so we had talked a little bit about that. One of the questions for Ron was that if we could do tiered variances, that is something we could potentially do, although it would be a matter of defining, I guess, what that is and how we want to do it. My thinking was that for some of the one of the points that was brought up is that there might be a variance that is part of a grandfathered non-conforming existing part of the house. Typically, that is part of an addition to a house as opposed to a new construction. So I think that in a lot of ways that is actually addressed by changing it to 1/2 of the total permit fees, because in that case, an addition is going to be a much smaller original permit fee than, say, a new construction, which then there would be more robust discussion in theory on half of that much larger new construction fee. So I'll just pause there.
I mean, some of the grandfathered ones, I should say, they need 4 variances in order to do one thing.
Yeah, good.
What happens?
Yeah, so on that as well, I had said that I had said plus another extra for each additional variance, and so I did remove that stipulation to it instead to just be for a variance hearing, one fee for one fee for a variance hearing.
Would the manager have the ability to waive the fee if they thought it was so inclined?
I think the council would have to make that decision.
Okay.
The resident could request it as a hardship that could be considered by the council.
Just to clarify that, so it's per hearing.
Per hearing, yeah, so I could, that's maybe a good point that we could change it specifically to a variance hearing. Fee,
That's 1750.
we had. I'm sorry, yes, for new construction, yeah, it would be an additional $17.50 from also the new construction fees. And that $17.50, you know, that's reasonably in line with our neighboring communities as well, so. So I think it does address some of the concerns about the grandfathering smaller, you know, air quote variances versus new construction variances and.
So for a new construction, they would pay 3,500 plus 1750.
Yes.
3,000 for the building permit, 1750 for the variance hearing.
Mhm.
And for let's say pre-existing home with renovations. That may face 4-5 variances, that would be just 1750 plus.
Yeah, we would do, no, not $17.50, so it would be calculated based on the original permit fee, so say they were doing.
Understood.
100 square feet of demolition, so it'd be $150 there and a $400 addition to it, so it would be another
$200.
$250, so it would be half of that 150 plus $250.
That makes.
And then the last one that we had a lot of discussion about, just make sure that that was indeed the last one, is the tree fee. And so I did get clarification from Ron that the fees can't be set as a deterrence or penalty. So they need to be based on administrative costs. And so I've updated it. I just kind of left it alone from there to get more feedback on it to say $50 per canopy tree per construction.
And that is, to clarify, anchored in administrative costs,
Yeah, yeah.
because it seems low.
Well, it can add up. And I also was trying to benchmark that against other towns. There's only one other town that has it, but
You take, not because we want to make money, but just as a cost recoverable exercise, you take the town arborist RV fee
mhm.
as the foundations, but we use that as the foundations.
Yeah,
That already puts us about 50.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the only other thought I had was we've got this tree policy, you know, when people are taking down trees, well, and I think it's up to 24 inches of trunk, the management does it. Over that, then it's a council decision.
right,
It's more costs when it's a council decision. than
right,
when
yes,
it's another.
yeah.
So do we want to put that structure into the fees too? In other words, when it's more than 24 inches of trunk, it's a higher fee, and when it's less than 24 inches, because it is more of a cost.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, I think that sounds sensible to me.
Mhm.
um,
Like that.
so in that case, would you say? Would it, do you think
1 hour,
a
2
flat
hours.
fee makes sense, that it would just,
We could benchmark it to 1 hour for town arborists
okay,
and 2 hour.
okay, so it would look
As
more,
a starting point, that high. So
No, I mean,
what is 1 hour of town arborists?
$100 an hour.
So 100
Oh.
and 200. Is that too high?
No, because he probably has to do more than an hour. You know, he's got to go there, he's got to look at it, he's got to write something down, he's got to maybe send us a report. That's more than an hour. Lot more than an hour.
So are you,
Just as a bench, as a way to anchor it somewhere, as a dollar figure. Not that. We are trying to recover that cost, but just as a way to anchor.
do we want to have that be tied to healthy tree removal? Or is it, or do we want to just say total tree removal? Because the way that it's written right now is just a tree fee, so
I think
there's some instances where it's.
healthy tree removal would be,
Okay,
Did you say, Rob?
healthy tree would be. the-
Because if it's unhealthy, we are penalizing.
Somebody with an unhealthy tree.
Yeah, I mean, some, you gotta take, usually you gotta take down on healthy trees, especially if it's looming over a house, you know, there's a real concern there. So,
um. And,
Doesn't our code say we would permit removal above a certain width if it meets this criteria, which includes health and other circumstances,
yes, yeah.
doesn't it?
Well, it lists that as a factor for consideration. Um,
As in, it would be approved by council if we felt these other factors added up. So it's
Right.
It's reflected in the decision to remove the tree.
yeah. Yeah. So you were saying 1 hour or 2 hours if it's above a certain, I mean, so,
So it's less than 24, it's one more than 24.
isn't it pointing towards the more, so that if it
Either
is
way,
greater
Either
than.
way, but as long as you understand.
up to 24, it's
Yeah.
100 and
There we go.
beyond 24 is 200.
Okay. Okay, well, if that's it, then, that's it for the permit fees.
That's gonna be introduced as a separate thing tonight. Is that what you wanted to do? Councilor Barr? It doesn't have to be tonight because it really should be in effect for the new fiscal year. So you have time.
Let's delay it till next month then, because we just formulated it, we might have other ideas, so let's just hold on for 1 month on it. And do the fees.
My thinking was that it would go into effect with the new budget so that we have, if it's introduced even in May, then adopted in June, then it would go into effect in June.
And the current budget file does not reflect these.
It does now, so, I mean, we didn't change much, and I would tweak maybe the tree fee, but it's otherwise, it's reflective of these changes that we agreed on.
I mean, if other people are comfortable with it now, then we can adopt it now and go on, it's just that we've only just kind of thought this through right now, and it's best to let it dwell among us before we.
I share your instincts on that.
And to give residents a chance to.
Respond and
Yeah.
reflect on, yeah.
Well, they won't respond until you introduce it.
Well, this is an open hearing, so
Well, I
some
know.
residents were
I-
interested.
Well,
You're right.
the key question is, does it impact the budget file? And can we adopt this budget? Eliminating these changes for now and then adopt the fees later.
I think so. I mean, it's gonna be a pretty minimal impact. I mean, the things that I just pulled up the budget file for us, so.
As long as the rest of the council is comfortable with that.
The building permit fees are now benchmarked against,
Well, but the fees don't affect the revenue anyway, so.
Probably better off just, adopting it and then changing it if we did something in error. Wouldn't that be better than having to revisit?
We just introducing it anyway.
Okay.
We wouldn't adopt it until we adopt the budget.
So we think we can actually take this step and introduce it tonight. We can do that.
We're comfortable.
I think we should, and we could always come back and revisit if we've made a mistake or this.
Well, also, if you introduce it tonight, you don't have to vote on it next month. And you can adjust it, yes.
Okay, let's introduce.
Okay.
Fees.
so we would just need a
My nervousness is-
amendment to the,
Fee.
well, no, you don't even need to amend that because there was nothing that was written before. We just need to amend the agenda to add. the adoption of the fee schedule.
You mean the introduction?
Introduction, excuse me, thank you. And then, yeah, it might
And that's what-
require then a minor,
We may revisit it. before
Exactly,
we adopt.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, I don't know if did we feel, let's see, so then we had, I'm sorry, let me look up the, yeah, let me pull that up next.
And we should touch base on ARPA.
Okay. Okay, so, we looked at the costs for it, so I think on tennis, we were generally in agreement, and it sounded like, Councilmember Rovak said that the tennis committee would also be in favor of, bumping it up to $35
Mhm.
annually. I think the aerobics class is the one that tends to be, have question marks about it. So we looked at the participation last year versus the cost. So we have it pulled up that the total cost for the aerobics class was $3,800, and we had 404 participants last year. So it works out to about $9.41 per participant. The year before, if you remember, the reason we lowered it back to 8 is because
There were more.
because there were more participants. So it's always sort of
Some
a,
you win and some you lose.
Yeah,
Okay,
we-
all right.
we're always trying to balance it out.
Well,
from the year
let's say
before.
$9 and hope for a few more participants then. All right.
You know, I think $9 is very fair, and if you take a look at classes around the county, whether it be clubs or even any of the pools, you'll find that we are probably a little low. I bet everything's more like $10 and up $12 for an exercise class.
Somebody explained to Lucy that she's got to just find a few more participants to break even. I'm sure she'll try.
I happen to check with them. You said you wanna check with the aerobics folks.
Said that?
Yes. You volunteered, I was
I'm
surprised.
sorry. What idea now?
Maybe I heard wrongly.
I don't think we need to check with them. I think we as a body need to make a decision, and fiscally, if this is what makes sense, I think this is what we will stand behind, and, and I'll be happy to take the flag.
I'll just say that it's very small, though.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't move the needle in any direction. There is a very strong view on this. Small group of people who are active. So I'm fine either way. As you know, I pushed for this last year and got a very strong opposition to it.
I
And
think,
I think the entire aerobics team testified for the $1 increase, if I don't remember, so if I remember correctly, so just keep that in mind.
I think we're fine on it, and I
So
apologize
we
for
have the
not
numbers, we have the data.
doing what I said I would do.
$9, all right.
But this could be one we can introduce with the potential to reverse before we adopt.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is if we, we could benchmark it throughout the year and say, once we've hit the total cost for the contract, then, the classes
Yeah.
are free.
That'd be great.
Or we could tell Lucy that
That's a good idea.
$10 is what actually gave you those huge number of participants.
Right.
And so if you want more participants, we could probably bump it up to 10.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because we don't want to be making money on this.
Right, so if we can monitor this, midway through the season to see where we are in terms of our numbers. And if we ever hit the point where we've paid for it, then we just say, hey, freebie to everybody.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that. They'll like that too.
And the other argument is
Yeah.
that it's not an inflation increase, it's lower than inflation increase, actually. It is.
What I offered to do, it's coming back to me now, was to call the company
Right.
and to ask them the cost.
So, okay, I didn't hear it.
Okay,
All
we'll
right.
put that on my to-do list.
Yes.
Let's introduce,
Yes.
and, okay, okay.
It's a little fees going up this year.
Yeah, okay, once it's on my to-do list, I apologize.
Okay, so there's that. So on ARPA, just quickly, they actually, last week, they sent out new guidance that because this is the last year of committing dollars, that there's no reporting requirement for this year, that they bumped the reporting requirement for next year. So
Next year.
To next year, to next year, yeah, for basically so that next April, you can report everything that you've spent and if there's any extras. So EJ and I had been emailing, there's the state has retained an advisor for municipalities. So that they're doing regular check-ins, so EJ's now connected with them and getting emails from them to be able to connect with them and I did not get to actually reporting it on the ARPA website this past week though. So we'll go through that together this week and I will send you the report for you and we can update it.
Perfect. I think before we adopt the budget, it would be good to know what that does.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah,
To the Councilmember Rova's point, that we keep an eye on, making sure.
Yeah.
We know what dollar figure we're keeping. an eye
yeah,
on.
exactly.
Before we move on to a new topic, I'd like to go back to water aerobics for 1 second.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just say, when I speak to the water aerobics people, and I will, that they really up their fees. So that might necessitate that we move this from $9 to $10. How do we do that legally?
I thought the fees were already locked in with the contract.
Well, I don't know that we have a contract yet.
We've just done it year to year before.
Yeah, that's why I need to make that.
Maybe the council sets the fee.
Yeah, we can amend it and then when we don't.
Okay, all right, so I want to make sure.
We can amend it up or down.
Okay, just checking. All right, sorry.
Maybe the fees are set separately, it's not set by the budget, it's set by the council.
Okay,
We can revise it in.
just wanted to make sure I was pushing.
Okay, so that's that, then the other topic was we were going to discuss the personnel line budget as well.
That should be in closed session.
Yeah, we have to. close
Yeah,
session.
so-
Let's see if there's anything else. Then we're going to close session and then we'll just have a break until the meeting starts.
Yeah, unless there's anything else in the budget that you did want to talk to before we got to.
We budget committee get this file.
Yes,
Later.
Yeah.
Okay, we can also ask if there are any questions.
yeah,
So should we go in first?
yeah,
Before we do, let me ask a dumb question, which is that we have, a surplus. $700,000 at the end of this fiscal year. Where is that money going? And what happens to it?
you mean what a bank account basically it's going into
Right.
or?
And does it come back as capital funds used for capital projects in the future? Is that this sort of?
So, I mean, that's the short answer is that our money goes into one of a couple of different savings accounts that have roughly the same rate of return, split between a Maryland state savings account and a Montgomery County savings account. And so it sits in there and accrues interest for us. The longer answer is that was one of the topics that we had earmarked for the budget committee for the future in terms of separating it out and specifically setting it aside as capital funds, and
Right.
making
It's
it
gonna
more.
matter more when rainy day fund gets to 12 months.
Right.
because-
That is
Exactly.
exactly. And the rainy day fund is actually all pooled in there. So we wanted that in a separate account with separate procedures around that. Now that we've hit the 12-month mark. So that's part of the post-budget adoption homework that the budget committee does, that we learn some housekeeping. It's gonna be. Actually, Ron, we should, you and I can work on this. We do need an updated guidance on under what conditions do we actually use the rainy day fund? And we'll come back to the council on that, because I think that needs to be updated.
Right, the original guidance.
Yeah.
But that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that was adopted.
12.
I was gonna say, I think 2012, so.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay.
But that is still in effect.
It's still.
So-
Yes,
Yeah,
that guidance is still. in
It's
place.
still, good, yeah,
But that's something the budget committee does every year.
yes.
All right, any other budget topics that we wanted to hit on first? Not, then I can, let me pull up, I have we just need a motion, let's see, so. We'll need a. Motion to close the meeting. He's not here for the work session. So we just need a motion to close the meeting under Maryland General Provisions, Article 305B. 305B1.
So moved. Second.
Well, we need a reason of reading this.
The reason, yeah, to
Personnel.
discuss personnel matters, yeah.
So moved. Second.
All right, so for those that are joining us remotely, I'll just put you into the waiting room and we'll reopen it, but most likely probably then do a short recess until the regular meeting at 7 o'clock. So thank you for your patience.
Vera. Already got, I wrote Linda a note and I already got the name of the company. It's right here. Be done tomorrow. Thank you for the reminder.
Just waiting for these to go through to rejoin the meeting before we go into a recess.
Well, it's an adjournment.
Yeah, adjournment.
So is this the code, our code as is?
Yes, that's just a paper copy of our adopted code essence, yeah.
Little light reading?
Right, yeah, yeah. Okay, so everybody has rejoined, so we, yeah, we can
No,
make a
Okay,
motion.
second. Yeah. you're not-
What?
motion to adjourn.
And we have this motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Favor aye.
You got it. It says 15 minutes.
Let's see, you need a.
Let's just
So
start.
are you
Recording.
Go back.
Okay,
It doesn't apply.
so,
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order and would you please announce the protocols for the meeting?
yes, thank you all for joining. As you may have heard, the meeting is being recorded, so it will be available for playback or viewing on the town's website and YouTube page. For folks that want to comment at a period, there will be a public comment period, and some of the items on the agenda also have a public comment opportunity on them. If you wish to make a comment, feel free to use the raise hand function. You can also send me a message through Zoom on the chat. Just in general, if you have a question that doesn't need public comment, you can also try to connect with me via the chat function, and I'll try to answer your questions as best I can. For those that do make a public comment, if you don't mind, before speaking, state your name for the record. For those that are not actively engaged in a discussion, if you don't mind pausing, stopping your video, you can of course turn it on when you are speaking, but it just makes the actual recording a lot easier to follow that way. Last but not least, if we get interrupted tonight, we'll stop the recording, and I'll send out a new link to the town for everybody to rejoin so that we can carry on with our business. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over.
Okay, thank you. So our first item is our public comment period. And if any residents who's on Zoom has a public comment, to make, please let the town manager know. Did anybody?
Bertie, I don't know, did you turn on your video because you had a comment, or were you just observing?
So ask her to.
You're also, you're muted,
So you
so
can-
I'm gonna,
You can email yourself.
I'll stop your
Oh,
video. for
okay,
now,
thank
so
you.
I think that's it. Okay.
The next item is the approval of the agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Is there discussion? So I thought you wanted to add, an introduction.
Yeah, did you want to add the fee schedule, the
Did you
fee
want to?
fee schedule to the agenda?
So would anyone like to make an amendment to the motion? To add,
Right,
so
so
the
if
introduction
I
of the
add
fee
the
schedule.
introduction of the town fee schedule to the agenda.
okay, when would that be, like after the budget's introduced?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion here? Okay, first vote on the amendment. First vote on the amendment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now, the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is consideration of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I heard. Is there a second? President Circo, is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. Next item. Public hearing motion to consider an application submitted by Alex Edinger and Jonathan Urban for the removal of a hazardous Spanish oak as recommended by the town arborist, Mr. Town Manager.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, so, the applicants, actually, I don't even think joined us this evening, but Dr. Feather has joined us to explain his recommendations, so, Tolbert, I will, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Matt. It's a very large Spanish oak, 50 inches at the base, and it has a split between the two main trunks with a crack. So it's very hazardous. In high winds, it can split apart. And of course, the house is very near the tree. It's a very large tree. I recommend removal.
Okay, thank you, sir. Council President Circo, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Councilor Hall,
It looks perilously close to the house. I have no questions.
Councilor Helen,
No question.
Councilor Kuma.
No.
Councilor Rowland.
No questions.
Mr. Town Manager, is any citizen indicated they wish to comment?
Nope.
Thank you, Council. Here to make a motion.
I move that we approve the removal of the hazardous Spanish oak. And of course, the application submitted by Alexis Edinger and Johnson Urban as recommended by the town arborist.
Second, thank you. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. Next
Thank
item is our. Thank you, Dr. Feather. Did you want to say something?
Just farewell to Matt, last council meeting.
Thanks.
Oh, right.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks a lot. The next item is our building administrator's report. Mr. Lemmeyer or.
Yes,
Good
and,
evening.
yep, that
Well,
was
good
here.
evening, sir.
At 4815 Cumberland, the town building permit was issued on March 16th. They have begun some limited construction on that site. At 5515 Greystone, the town permit was issued on May 12th and work has begun. 5529 Surrey Street, the town permit was issued on February 12th and construction is ongoing. And at 5528 Trent Street, the town permit was issued on December 19th. They've submitted a wall check and a height check. Both of them comply with the town and the county requirements. That project's moving forward, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Council President Circo, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Council Member Barr,
No questions.
Councilor Hell,
No questions.
Councilor Kumar.
No.
Councilor Rhoda.
So for the house at 4815 Cumberland, who monitors or like who makes sure that they do that asbestos check?
I can take that one. We asked them to submit it and they submitted the report to us, before they moved ahead with the demolition, so.
Is the house come down already?
No,
Oh,
no.
have they gotten that report done?
Yeah, they've submitted an asbestos report. I think there was some in the. Off the top of my, I can pull it up for you and send it after the meeting, but I think they did find some in maybe the basement and the siding, and so. They got certification from a removal company that they were going to handle that.
And then when is that demolition happening? Do we know?
That I don't know, Doug, do you
Next year.
happen to
What was
know
the
when?
question?
When is
When
the
does what happen?
demolition of 4815 Cumberland scheduled for?
I don't know. They were working on it last week. I think they've been removing the siding, like Matt said, they had on white protective suits. So I guess they're carefully removing the siding and everything, but they haven't started demo yet.
Okay, so they, so someone would make sure that they're doing what is they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, we make sure that they submit the required asbestos report. That was a condition of the permit, and that they have a certified company that is doing the removal.
Is that, do you have any other questions?
Yes.
Go for it.
So I don't know if this is, maybe, I'm not sure if this is the right time to ask it, but, the house on Surrey that is getting a new deck, I think it's 5529 Surrey. There have been neighbor complaints about all like the trash and the construction site in the yard. And, I heard from a neighbor that, that a little bit has been cleaned up, but I've got some pictures and a lot of it is still not looking very nice. And this particular neighbor, I think they live next door to the house on Trent that is getting torn down. And like he said, that site is really looks nice and they keep it very clean. So this site is really not as nice. And I don't.
This is the appropriate time to ask.
Okay, and so can we do something that we make sure that they are cleaning up their trash and stuff? I can send the pictures out to whomever.
Yeah, we'll follow up with the applicant, the homeowner tomorrow.
Okay, and if they don't pick it up, their site and keep it clean, what happens?
Yeah, well, I mean, usually what we do is we'll first give them sort of friendly reminder.
We've already asked
to-
them
to-
before
to
though,
keep
right?
it, and then, future compliance, we would probably set it up.
But we've already asked them to clean it up, right? Because this was sent like, I sent it to you and it looks like they did do something. I think.
Yeah,
So like a week or two ago, I can
Okay.
look up all the details, but
Is this the Rosenthal house?
yeah,
I don't think it looks so bad.
it's in the backyard.
oh, I'm sorry, Surrey or Grace?
Surrey,
Oh, Surrey.
the old,
That is
Rosenthal house.
Oh, the old, okay, I see where they moved out. Herman's house, okay.
yeah. So I think that they've been asked, so it's in the back.
The back, that's why I can't see it.
Yeah,
I see, okay.
So how can this guy see it?
he lives in back of them.
Yeah, but then. Okay,
Okay, anyway. so-
His porch and everything look into Surrey. You know, the back of his house.
Okay.
And,
Okay,
he
so
sent some
you're-
pictures.
So you want.
Okay,
to
I
get-
found this on the web, for do you know the back of his house?
So you want the staff to get back to you with your questions, right?
Yes,
Do you have any
please.
other?
No,
So you're done. Okay, so I think Councilmember Kumar had I think this is the right time. You had a suggestion about expedited hearing. So why don't you bring that on now?
You mean if something is in compliance?
No, you said before the meeting about a hearing.
This for 4815.
Oh,
Yeah, so what was your suggestion?
well, this is a proposal from the town manager and the town staff to have a hearing for 4815 Cumberland. Am I getting that right?
It's 4905.
49.
What-
Nowhere close.
So I think
4905.
we have all the players.
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what are you suggesting?
He's suggesting that we consider that hearing for a work session on April 15th.
Right.
And the council president has a timing constraint. So that would mean that we would start that session at 8 p.m.
Right, and effectively, we would not have a
Okay,
Work
so,
session, we would
but
just
I
have
think that they,
special council meeting.
and it could also be during the day. We could have it at noon. You could have it anytime. It doesn't have to be then. If you don't want one,
Comfortable with the 15th at any time.
but I mean, it doesn't have to be on that day if you want. I mean,
I think that is the earliest given the 10-day notice.
right, but it could also be later that week.
It could be.
It's what works for
I
everyone.
mean, I definitely
And
want,
then we also have to make sure that the town attorney can come.
yeah,
And the parties.
yeah.
And the parties.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are interested in, from the emails that we've received.
So you think it should be in the evening?
Yeah, but I think 8's too late.
Okay, so
Sorry.
what about other days that, why don't, we come up with like 3 dates or times that then, as the town attorney said, that you can let the parties know.
Steve, do you have an alternate?
Or potentially just meeting earlier on Monday the 15th from 4:30 to 5:30.
I like that.
I
Any
could,
good school?
I can't do that. Well,
Or Zoom, yeah.
I just have to get clear by 6. So 4:30 to 6, or 4:30 to like 5:45.
Yeah,
Right, this is, yeah.
Okay,
That
so
works.
the thing is, so if you want to have it at 4:30, and then, do we know that they can come that day?
I don't
We don't know.
No.
Okay, so if some of you have schedule problems, we can also stop the hearing at 6 o'clock and continue at a later time. If you don't get it done.
that makes sense.
So do you all want the town manager to ask the parties? Well, actually, Mr. Town Attorney, can you come then?
I can, Mr. Mayor, yes.
And what about Mr. Lohmeyer? And doesn't the arborist have to come?
Yeah,
These guys come
So-
on Zoom.
And
So
we-
what is Doug? Is Doug
Doug
gone?
might be here. Doug, are you still with us?
Don't put it like that.
Yeah, I'm here.
Would you be available for a 4:30 meeting on Monday, the 15th?
Sure,
Okay,
I can do that.
Okay,
I think
So-
Tolbert just jumped off. Thank you, Doug.
okay, so
So I
hopefully.
can confirm with Tolbert as well.
Okay, so if that doesn't work, then Matt will, we'll have to negotiate.
I like that because it is on a date of our work session. And so it's on the calendar just a little early.
Okay, thank you. The next item is public hearing motion to consider the adoption of a resolution sunsetting the town of Somerset police program. Mr. Town Manager.
Yes, and I did want to mention that we have received several public comments on this as well. Unanimously in favor of adopting the resolution sunsetting the comments, so. That, I think that speaks to, the discussion before deliberation was. That we hadn't heard from people that.
I know of one.
Hold on.
So yeah, maybe not, at least the comments that I've received have all been unanimous. But in any case, as a reminder, just quick background for anybody listening, the Public Safety Committee had recommended, also based in part on a memo from the Traffic Committee, that the town sunset its current police program, which hires off-duty Montgomery County police officers for a couple of hours every week for supplemental coverage beyond the regular Montgomery County coverage, and that the town divert the funds that were otherwise would be used for that program to other safety measures, in a nutshell. And so this was introduced last month and has been written about in the town journal, is now being considered for adoption. So, yeah.
Thank you. Is the chair of the committee?
He has joined us.
Does the chair of the committee wish to comment on the presentation or add anything?
Well, thank you very
Vaswani?
much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to say real quick, thank you very much for considering this. I think this has been pretty well documented. I think we sent something like 60 to 70 pages worth of material to the council, with data and facts. And I think, maybe 5 years ago, this might have been a difficult decision, but I think today it's, I think pretty well documented that the program, just because of changed conditions and other factors, is probably not a good fit for the town, and it might be better to transition to different methods of crime prevention as well as traffic safety. And I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you very much, and also to the committee and the liaison, the tremendous work that's been done. It was at the level of like a congressional committee, really. Council President Circa, you have any questions?
No questions. I do want to thank you and the committee for all the work you did on it.
Councilor Barr.
No questions either, I think, both the public safety committee and the traffic committee for the work they did.
Council Member Heller.
No questions, I want to just chime in with a thank you to not only you, but to the traffic committee as well. Thanks for all your hard work.
Councilor Kumar.
No questions.
Councilor Rowland.
No questions.
And now, if any citizen wishes to comment, please let the town manager know. And thank you for all of your cards and letters.
And just one other very quick comment, just to confirm that Chair Vaswani had recommended a few changes to the original introduced draft, and so those are reflected in this version. It looks like Russell Green has his hand raised, so Russell. You're still muted, Russell.
Yep, sorry. Thank you for taking up this issue and considering it. I just wanted to come in support of Kumar's proposal. And it seems to me pretty clear that the evidence indicates that the program is no longer effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think that is it, unless, Russell, did you have another comment? No, okay, all right. then
Okay,
I
thank
think
you,
that's it.
council. Are you prepared to make a motion?
Yes. I move that we adopt the resolution sunsetting the town of Somerset police program.
Second.
Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed, thank you. Next item is a motion to consider the introduction of an ordinance adopting the FY 25 budget and FY 25 tax rates as recommended by the budget committee. I'll turn it over to the town manager. But I do want to say in advance that once again, we have an incredible budget committee chaired by Madam Bolton and then it's Peter Tynan and
John.
Medalia. And then, of course, our expert council liaison, Councilor Kumar. So thank you all for, because I think probably this year was better than ever. With that, I'll turn it over to you.
The only thing I guess I would like to add to that is just noting that right now it's 7, we say 15 minutes early, but it is 7:23 and it's on the agenda for 7:30. So if you wanted to wait for Chair Bolton to join, it's at your discretion, but we've gone through 3 different budget work sessions for this. So just reiterate to John and Peter and Ann and Kabir, all the hard work and extra hours that they put in and support to put the document together. I think the last few years we've kept kind of moving forward, and each budget process has felt a little bit smoother than the last. And so I think we have a good budget in place for next year that's fiscally responsible towards the town's finances and it is well thought out and well considered.
Okay, thank you, Council President Circa, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Councilmember Vaughn.
I have no questions on it. I will put in a comment though that the 5-year policy no longer recommends an increase in property taxes, which we have done in prior years. Because our revenues are higher than our prior estimates believe they would be, so we no longer need to increase our property tax.
We'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Heller.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Kumar.
No questions, just thanks to Matt for all his hard work on this process and we will be blessed for the next budget cycle.
And Councilmember Ray.
No questions.
Okay, is the council ready to make a motion to introduce the budget? No, actually, Mr. Town Attorney, does it have to be a motion to introduce the budget?
It does.
This is a resolution.
Because it's an
right?
ordinance,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, Councilmember Kumar, why don't you?
And I heard you, Mayor Slavin, do we also do the 5-year plan?
Well, is it part of it? Is it been produced?
It is part of, it's part of that
So I
document,
would
so
just-
maybe.
yeah,
Should I
just-
say that in my?
Yeah, just for
clarify
that, yeah, yeah.
here.
Okay, so, introduce ordinance adopting the fiscal year 25 budget and fiscal year 25 tax rate and 5-year budget and tax proposal.
But I don't think that the 5-year has to be introduced because it just has to be produced, not voted on.
Correct, yes.
So it doesn't really need to be introduced.
That's right.
So
The 5-year plan is not, but the actual ordinance
Yeah.
to adopt the budget needs to be introduced.
So you got it right, doesn't it? Really, Jim?
So do I need to say it in my production? No, okay.
No, so we'll just, okay, is there a second on that? Is there discussion? Hearing none.
Could you repeat the introduction?
Introduction of ordinance adopting the fiscal year 25 budget and fiscal year 25 tax rates as recommended by the budget committee.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So it's, now it's introduced and it'll be produced at the, it'll be publicized widely, and then it'll be voted on at the, May meeting.
And now we're going to introduce the tax.
Yeah, so the next item is the introduction. We should, do you want to,
Yeah, sure.
say what the agenda item is so the public can hear?
Yeah, so at the beginning of this meeting, the council, in conjunction with the budget, because a part of our budget is the not only our expenses, but also the town's revenues. And so a portion of that is based on fees for permitting and for other town activities. And so as part of the budget work sessions, the council's been discussing that and considering that. And so we have a proposed fee schedule that the council is planning to introduce tonight, which will also be shared with the town and available for public comment before it's adopted. As I said, in conjunction with the budget.
Okay, thank you, Council President Circa, do you have any questions?
No questions, just to note for the town, basically. We revisited the fee structure, we compared it to other towns in the neighborhood. And we increased the number of the fees, some which hadn't been adjusted in years to. Reflect what other towns are doing and or compensate for increased costs, cost of living increases, increased costs to the town to execute certain programs.
Is that it? Okay.
That's it.
Councilmember Barr,
No questions.
Councilmember Heller,
No questions.
Councilmember Kumar.
Just to add to Council President's comment, we are introducing today. We're not adopting these fees. I think the town has the opportunity to comment and give us feedback before we adopt them. Also, to Mayor Slavin's earlier comment, we can revise these anytime. They don't need to be tied to the budget process. So as far as we hear from the town, we can revise them. And just to clarify, there are 2 categories of fees. There are permit fees and recreation fees. the bulk of the increases are around permit fees and they are tied to largely a cost of inflation. Based increases. Some of these fees haven't been increased, again, to clarify Council President's comment, for over 10 years.
Thank you. Councilor back to you.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion to introduce?
We can do that. Motion to introduce, what's the phrasing?
The revised fee schedule?
Revised
Matt,
fee.
well,
Yeah, I think, yeah.
What do
To
we put?
adopt the FY 25 fee schedule
Well, we're not adopting, we're introducing.
or introduce.
Yeah,
sorry.
introduce the revised fiscal year 25 permitting and recreation fee schedule.
Okay, so is it, I just asked the town.
That's-
is that-
Yes, that's right.
Okay, you second, right? In case there discussion, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that will be published in the and journal and other places. Next item is a motion to consider the introduction of a resolution establishing a data policy. Mr. Town Manager.
Yes, and Councilmember Kumar had sent me some comments on this as well, updating. When we discussed this at the work session, the policy is largely about physical data and records that we keep in town. So he had suggested a couple of changes to reflect some data and privacy protection measures that we could take for digital records as well. So I will update that before it's introduced as well, or excuse me, before it's adopted.
But before it's published.
Well, yes, before, so yeah, yes, yeah.
But I mean, you're in the amendments are in there.
They're not in there tonight. No, I didn't get a chance to update it.
Oh,
for
okay, well, you
tonight,
can just
so.
amend it. You can. Okay,
Exactly.
thank you. Council President Circuit, any questions?
No question.
Councilmember Ball,
No questions.
Councilor Helen,
No question.
Councilor Kumar.
None.
So again, it's being introduced this way, and then you just amend it. Council member Levin.
No questions.
Okay, are you very, Council ready to introduce?
Motion to introduce resolution establishing a data policy for the town of Somerset.
Okay, is there a second?
Go ahead, sorry.
You wanted to add your amendments, right?
No, I can do it when we adopt it.
Okay.
But I think it would be good if you publish the amendments when you publish the introduction.
What I'll do is I will.
We don't have.
I'll have it as a red line version to incorporate the recommendations so that
Yeah,
I think
the
that's fine.
the council and public.
They're
can
very
see.
innocuous.
Right.
but still,
Yeah.
we can't introduce.
No, agree, agree.
We have to introduce
Agreed.
a document and it's not
Agreed.
ready. Okay, thank you. So it's introduced. Next item is a motion to consider the introduction of a resolution encouraging composting, providing composting as an opt-out service. Mr. Town Manager.
Yeah, this was discussed at the previous work session. The Environment Committee requested that it be put on the agenda so that they can adopt it as close to Earth Day as possible. And so basically what this does is right now our composting is every resident can opt into the composting service and the town will provide that service as part of a basic service to residents. This would change the way that it's run so that it is automatically given to all residents as part of their basic services, unless the resident specifically opts out of it. So instead of opting in, you opt out. And if you don't opt out, then you are assumed to want to participate in it. And the town pays about $2,500 per month right now on composting. So about roughly half of our residents currently are in the composting program. So it would be at a cost of about $5,000 for May and June of this year. And then it is reflected in the FY 25 budget that it would be this opt-out service.
Okay, thank you. So before I go through the council with questions, perhaps the town attorney could inform the council what is the option to pass this tonight? If they wanted to.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, so we do have a general policy of introducing resolutions at one meeting. Holding them over until the next meeting for discussions and adoption. However, that policy is a standard practice. And there is an exemption in the policy that if the council wants to take more quicker action, it can do so. That policy is not a law, it's just a guide. So this resolution could be adopted tonight if the council so chose. I note that this isn't legislation. The policy requiring that layover is meant more for legislative efforts than ceremonial resolutions or something like this, which is a contract matter.
And given that Earth Day is on April 22nd,
Yes.
and that's what the committee, they wanted this resolution passed. So, given that we don't have any upcoming special meetings before Earth Day, I just wanted everyone to know what that's the option we could ask tonight.
Yes, good point, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Council President, if you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question. I guess, do we have the environment committee representative?
I don't think so.
I'm a liaison, I'll see what I can do.
Well,
That we have time and
so
Yes, I just letter. I completely recognize the need to take action on methane gas and support compost and reducing landfill. My family is a full participant in this. And if we were to double the town's participation rate from like 45% to 90%, I would consider that a worthwhile investment of town resources. My concern is that we could end up doubling our expenditures and not move the needle more than 1 or 2 households on composting. Because, and what I wanted to ask from the environment committee is, do we know why residents are not opting in?
I think I can answer that, and it was actually answered at the work session. What happens is that everybody will get bins, but compost crew actually monitors whether anybody puts their bins out, and if they put anything in their bins every time they do a pickup. They have a little tablet enter sheet, so we will, and they'll send that information to the town. So we'll know the people who are not either putting out their bins or putting nothing in their bins. And then it's the option for the town to then remove them, and so then we don't get charged for them once they are removed. At the same time, the compost crew says, give them a couple of months, in other words, persuade them first of all. But the principle is that we will not be charged.
Okay, but-
When this is now question.
Oh, this is my
I'm
question. I'm responding to that question as well. I have.
know, but you can talk about that when you're debating.
Fine.
So the only reason why Councilman
No, fair.
Barr
Fair
is
enough.
because he's the
Liaison.
lead expert, since we don't have the chair here.
No problem. Okay.
I just want to,
No,
make sure
makes
this
sense.
doesn't go on.
Okay, no, makes.
Okay, do you have any other?
So to a certain extent, this sounds like a pilot program. Is there a plan for this pilot program? 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months? Percentage of participation? Or is it just whatever we feel like whenever we get there?
Okay, who are you asking that?
So I'm asking, I guess it's from Robin or Matt,
Well,
is there a
yeah.
plan? How do we know if we're successful?
I mean, put it this way, if we fail, all the bins will come back. So the program will die of its own accord without further action from us. I imagine that we will succeed and there will be additional people composting. How many is difficult to determine because this has not really been done before. So it is an experiment in that respect.
Okay, thank you. I have very good questions.
Okay, so Councilman Barr, did you have any questions of yourself? or-
Because Earth Day is on April 22nd, I would really like this to be adopted tonight.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Helen, do you have any questions?
Is there any way that we could say that we'll have a, study period, you know, for a month. I don't want this to go on for months, because I think I think after a month, we're gonna know who's gonna be in and who's gonna be out. And I'd hate for us to waste the money.
Okay,
People
who's
would-
that question to?
That question, Mr. Robin,
Yeah, right, well, I mean, I tried to say answer it previously, but in principle, we could do that, but the compost crew is asking us to wait a couple of months and try to persuade people who don't put out their bins that it would be a good thing to do, and they're helping the world by doing that, whatever we say. So if I don't know what you mean then by stopping the program after 2 months or 3 months, because we'll have our numbers then, and the program will have its success then. There's nothing, no further action needing to be taken.
I guess what I'm saying is I'd love to see after, okay, I'll go to 2 months. After 2 months, all the homes that have not that are not using the program, that we opt them out and take back their bins.
We can do that, yes, if you're happy with that, we can do that.
Then we'll save- we'll save some money.
It just gives a second month for people.
Right, 2 months.
If you want to do that, yeah.
Okay. You'll be able, I'm sure you're gonna be debating this. so-
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, Councilman.
Yes, I have questions. Matt, this is part of our total trash program, intervention program, right? So we have regular trash pickup, recycling pickup, we have vendors contracts for that. This would be added to that.
Well, it's a separate contract.
Separate contracts, but it's part of the total service to the town, where we have trash, recycle, not compost.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, is that moving forward, the town should think about composting as part of its holistic waste management service.
Perfect. And then as part of the holistic waste management service, this particular component is less than 10% of our total cost, or less than 5%.
The extra.
Yeah, if you include it in the total costing, it is actually a small component given
Of,
cost this year and proposed increases to trash pickup next year.
are you talking about the entire budget or
No,
of,
just the three components of waste management,
um,
just to anchor us.
yeah, let me just pull it up to make sure that I'm giving you the right numbers. So. So. Our trash and recycling contract. Currently. Is. So we have trash, recycling, yard waste.
Yep.
And then, well, also in a way, leaf pickup. And then we have composting. So for this year. Our total sanitation budget is $227,000. This would be $5,000 added to that. So
On an annual basis, no.
no, this fiscal year, if we did it for these 2 months.
It's hard to estimate what it would be on an annual basis, but
Yeah.
assume something.
Assuming everybody
Full adoption.
participates, it would be 30. We're also anticipating an increase in the cost of trash and recycling,
Let's
so
anchor it in this 200.
it would be $30,000 of $230,000.
Okay, thank you. Then the other question I have is, what I understood from the work session, when we spoke to the contract, potential contractor, we're gonna bid this out. Right, we have to bid this out,
Yeah,
which is, I'm coming to that in terms of the Earth Day timing. So we heard from the potential contractor that if we can get our money, we don't need to spend the full budgeted amount, it depends on the adoption of the service. Can you clarify that piece? So we are budgeting for full adoption,
mhm.
but we may not spend for full adoption depending on how people actually adopt the service.
Oh, I should say.
Right,
You see?
I think that what the contractor had told us is that they, and this also speaks to Councilmember Heller's question, I think, that they monitor pickups when they do composting, and so if, depending on what standard we want to set, if it's after 3 missed services in a row, or after 2 months, if we don't see participation, that they could then remove from their system addresses, and then we would no longer be charged for the pickup for that address.
And so we would not then be charged for that address, just to keep that in mind.
Right.
And then the second related question is, given the size of this, we have to bid this out. Even though we have a preferred vendor we have history with. Are we able to execute on that in time for the Earth Day timing? And
Well, our current contract is okay through, our current contract is just, we have a fee per address.
understood.
So we didn't say, we're not budgeted $35,000 a year for composting. We're budgeted for a fee per house right now. So we're fine there. When our contract runs out in September,
You have to bid it out.
we would bid it out. You know, and we would think about the best way to do that. If we wanted to bid it out. Trash and recycling, we ask them for an annual cost for it, because the assumption is everybody in town participates. We don't say a number per house for trash pickup.
But then question to Ron, we could introduce this today and potentially adopt it on the 15th. When we are meeting, which would be ahead of Earth Day. That,
Yeah, but that makes it hard for them to get the PR out to get people.
You mean if we had, hold on a second.
Sorry.
That's only if there's a council meeting that night, which we haven't scheduled.
I mean, the other thing I should say is that the environment committee, if you may have seen the forum advertised, is holding a session.
Okay, I think he was asking the question.
Yes, it's possible. From a
Okay, did you
legal
have any-
perspective.
did you have any other questions?
I had one more, but I slipped my mind now.
Okay, Councilor Romer, do you have any questions?
Do we know, what's the approximate cost per household?
I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I mean, we spend.
Excuse me?
$4 a week?
So. Yeah, that's probably about right. It's, we spend just under $34,000 for 200 houses right now, so.
Per year.
Per year, so yes, 7, what is that?
And then, so I don't understand. So like, is someone just gonna come? Cause I don't compost. And so is someone just gonna come and drop a bin off?
Yeah, it's.
Unless you say not to,
In,
unless you say don't. And if you don't want it, just tell the town and it won't be dropped off.
in a way, it's like your recycling. So the town provides you a bucket that you can use. And then every week, you fill it up with composting and you put it out, and they drive through town, pick it up, dump it in,
And you can
and
choose
leave
to
your
not put
bucket
it out.
back there.
Or you can just like, what if I just put the bin in my garage and then never use it?
Yeah, that's what Councilmember Kumar was asking about. So part of, in response to Councilmember Heller's point, what they mark every house, whether they picked up or not.
And then, but what about the cost of those bins? Like, are they charging the town for the cost of the bins?
Yes.
Yes,
So we're prepaying for all of these bins.
yes.
And then what happens if
I
if,
think the bins are $25 each, so it would be 5 times, so yeah,
Upstairs. Yep, $24 a bin.
$24 a bin,
For
so
5 gallon.
and so I feel like that's a big expense to eat, like, with people that we don't know if they're gonna be.
normally,
Angry citizens or not.
so that in our current setup, that's the one cost that we ask the person as their sort of buy-in and to have a stake in it themselves, as we say, you purchase your bin, the town will cover the pickup service itself. But with opt-out, I think the only practical way we could do it is if the town just provided the bin for everybody.
Right. Will people be mad who bought their bins? I mean,
Well, no, they're going to have their bins free. that the town will give them the bins free.
No, the other people who are already opted into this program.
I have no idea.
Did they buy their own bins or?
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Oh, we pay for them now? Is that right? Okay, so I might be mixed up. So I
Yeah,
think once upon
I
a
think you
time we
started-
did.
I think you started paying for them a few years ago.
Okay, I apologize. I'm wrong. And actually, I see that now in our budget. We have blue bins.
Okay.
Do you have any other
There, so.
questions?
I have discussion, I guess. I don't
Okay,
maybe have a
Okay,
question.
so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the council president to lead the discussion. Remember, the motions consider the introduction of this resolution. The town attorney has pointed out that you have the option of passing it tonight. I think you have to have 5 votes, right?
Well,
You have to have all the votes.
is the additional money budgeted already?
For a budget amendment tonight,
We would need 4 votes.
we would
for
need a
budget
super
amendment.
majority for budget.
So they'd have to, so to pass it tonight, they have to do a budget amendment and then also there would have to be, there should be a hearing. So they should, so I think, Mr. President, that the first thing to decide is whether you want to pass this tonight. And if so, you have to have a hearing, right? Wouldn't it be preferred?
Hearings preferred,
Yeah.
not mandatory.
So that's like the first step.
I mean, in theory, we have a budget contingency that we could pull it out of, so we could use that and then the council could consider the budget amendment.
You're also
at a later
proposing
time.
starting on June 1st, I think, which means 1 month of this fiscal year, which is 2020.
Okay, so why don't you hold that for the discussion, but I'm just trying to come with help the president with the process, so. Shouldn't they first decide whether they wanna pass it tonight, and then they have to decide whether they want to have a public hearing?
Yes, I think.
So I think that that's the first topic. To decide whether you have a public hearing, and then you can consider whether you want to pass it tonight. But then if that fails, then to decide whether you want to introduce the resolution tonight. You know, it's complicated.
So I didn't think that we could pass it without a public hearing. Don't we have to open it up tonight for the public?
But only if you decide you want to pass it tonight.
So this is not an ordinance, so
Sorry, something went wrong. Please try again.
that's not me.
It's our 6th council member tonight. You need a new data policy.
Okay, so what's?
So that's
okay,
fine.
let me
listening to us.
let me ask town attorney what he suggests
Yeah,
the process be right now.
a hearing is not required since it's not an ordinance. This is a contract matter, but because it involves amendment of the budget. Communities will often have a public hearing. It's a matter
But they
of
don't want
practice, so it's not mandatory.
So I guess for discussion, I would recommend there be a public hearing, whether we can do that tonight or not, I don't know, but I think that we're talking about.
We can, although it wasn't.
It wasn't noticed, yeah, so
So.
it's only hearing. when
no
we're
purpose to
done.
happen.
Okay.
So with that, I will let you leave the discussion.
I'm doing great so far. Well, so what do you think, Rob, the public hearing?
The amount of money is so trivial and that we don't actually, for this year, I mean. And that we're not required to have a public hearing, we can just vote for it at $2,500. There's plenty of money available in our contingency budget to cover it.
There is money, I guess my concern is all of a sudden. A fair number of residents could have stuff deposited. In their driveway or their front doors,
Yeah.
and they don't know what it's about really. They might feel pressure to participate in something they don't want to participate in.
Well,
I know my wife has told about me doing this because it
when given the
smells in the
chance.
house. We have special containers that we bought in the house.
When given the chance to speak, I'll address that.
Sorry, don't worry about it.
Thank you. The Environment Committee is holding a public session actually in the town hall and by Zoom. A week on Thursday, it's the 11th, to advertise to the town, this particular program as well as beekeeping, actually, a joint session. It would be better if the program is finally adopted prior to that session. So that is before April 15th, which is fine. It would be good to get it adopted now. On the matter of the public hearing, it is not, as we've heard from Ron, it is not a requirement. The amount involved for this year is tiny. It's $2,500. The idea behind the public hearing is that people will be made aware that the program is in fact happening. And presumably also whoever is doing the email blast from the town will advertise it that way too. So I don't think they should be surprised. Adopting it now is Match's birthday, which is the way to really sell it.
Thank you. Terry?
I don't think it's actually a trivial amount of money. At first I agreed it was, but until you told me we'll pay $25 per bin. So if we, I'm not good at math, so they do it for me. If we put out 200 new bins at $25 a bin, how much is that?
200 bins. Yeah,
Is what?
$4,800.
$5,000.
So that's, you see, when we first talked about what this was gonna cost, we didn't calculate the cost of the bins. I love this program. I am a crazy composter, and I will tell you how to do it so it doesn't smell in your house. But, and I would go door to door asking people to sign on it. I always think that's what this takes.
Yeah.
When people get real education. I think we need to support the program and say that we will support everybody, every household that wants to compost. And I think the environment committee sounds like it's really plugged in. Get a few others of us that are happy to really pump the program, and let's sign people up and let's pay for everybody who wants to use it. Opting in, the more I think about this, I think it's silly. Because I'm not sure that if I were not part of this program, and you put a bin in my driveway, I'd go, what is this? You know, I just think it's not prudent for us to spend $5,000 on bins when we don't know that people are really gonna use them or how many people are gonna use them. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. Is your proposal to then convert this to an opt-in service?
Yes.
We are often.
We all, just to keep it as an opt-in service. With an with the same budget,
Yeah,
potential budget outlay, but as continue it as an opt-in service.
but to throw our force behind it through getting people to do it, like, you know, when we had signs on our front lawn for, fill out the surveys, remember the, maybe we spent $300 and we put signs everywhere that says, join the compost group. You know, some better put than that, but, maybe that's how we spend some money and then get people to opt in.
Because we could introduce it as an opt-in service today. That gives them some time to.
It is
Meet the
already,
update.
we don't need.
It's already
it is
an
already
opt-in
an
service.
opt-in.
So then what would be helpful to the environmental committee for Earth Day activities?
An opt-out service.
Oh, okay.
I mean, honestly, Environment Committee has worked through this for months. And it's not just the Environment Committee, it's even at the county level, people think about this kind of problem. Nowhere it's got composting in any city above 55%. So we're not far away from that 55%. But nobody has tried this opt-out program.
Yeah, but when it was first brought to us, Robin, what we did get was it was gonna be $5,000 on top of our monthly cost for the bins.
It's a once only 5,000 charge. It's not a
I know
fee.
it's fixed, I get it, but it's $5,000, that's a lot of money if you ask me in a small town. I love the program, but I think we could rethink this better on how to get people to join it. That's all.
Well, in defense of the opt-out logic, I think there will be folks who wouldn't recycle. Frankly,
Right.
if recycling services were not widely available. So there's some wisdom in just having that there and then people decide. I think that's what I wanted to say earlier to Steve's question. I think there are people who are just not switched on to it, or like in our case, we didn't want to put in our credit card information. We decided it was the priority, and so I
And
think
you
you
didn't
will
know
have.
that you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, you could get the conversion through this that will be probably will beat those 55% standards, I suspect.
Mhm.
And I think recycling is an example of that. So just to give the counter argument,
Right,
that
listen,
there's some valuable.
I'll go along with it, what people want. I'm just saying that, I'm not sure, I'm not sure we should do an opt-in
I
program.
think the challenge is the timing of this, because let's be fair, Matt had already proposed this program for the new budget. And I think it feels a little rushed, frankly. But I understand Earth Day. But, you know, we were already proposing this for the new fiscal year, if I'm not mistaken. And so that would have given a ramp up period and just a broader adoption and getting people comfortable. So I would love to thread the needle for the environmental committee on this, you know, if we can figure out a way to do that, I'm all for it.
Well,
Yes, and I have an idea, but
so I think that it should be opt-in. And I think, I mean, I understand the recycling analogy, that's a good one. But I do think that there's people like me who didn't really realize like we had this, or like, I didn't even really know. So, there's a lot of people probably like me that, you know, kind of don't pay as much attention as I should at all times. And I think that it would be great to re-educate people before we, you know, just dump a bin at their, you know, home and pay for it up front. I mean, I do agree with you, Debbie. I think it's a lot of money to pay for people who, you know, might not be interested in doing it. But I do think that there is like there can be like a really great environmental meeting about, you know, how do we engage people and like get people like, you know, to be doing like signs in the yard, like, don't you see your neighbors compost? Like, don't you want to? Like, you know, we'll do this for you as a town, we'll provide this for you, and like, you know, we'll educate you and help you, and that would be great to know. And I think that the other way around, where they just, you know, a lot of people don't even live in these houses. Like, what happens if they don't live in this house and there's just a bin dropped off and then no one takes it away, and, you know, it just sits there, and, you know, I just think that it feels a little forced.
If we hit a certain threshold of opt-in, could we then make it a more universal? Is that a two-step process we could do? So I don't know what the usage is, right?
45%, we're at 46% this time.
We have 46%, so if it's 60% adoption in town, would we then as a council make it a opt-out service?
Well, let me try to answer. Shannon.
Shannon.
When I said that nationally, levels were not above 55%, I'm talking about programs like in Seattle, Washington. These cities have done everything they can do to advertise to residents, to go out and broadcast to residents, and they've got it up to 55%, which is not much above our 46%. In other words, the advertising opt-in programs do not work very well.
But
Going to every neighbor doesn't work very well.
But we're a small town. I mean, we're not Seattle, you know, I mean, this is, you know, like Debbie was saying, like, I think it should go almost household by household and knock on the door, like, you know, I mean, like, or write a specific email to someone, or, you know, I mean, we're not Seattle, like, a gigantic advertising campaign is way different than what our town would offer.
Compost crew for the bins we return.
right. Well, so if I can cut in, I know we're past 8 o'clock, so it's a good discussion. I think that the range of questions suggests that implementation by Earth Day might just be premature for this, but I know that the resolution as written actually talks about an effective date of June 2nd for adoption at our next council meeting on May 6th. So I'm happy to introduce this resolution as written, and then we can, that provides some force.
Okay, is that your motion?
Some motion for the, I'm getting ready to make the motion, I'm talking about the motion.
Explaining.
So that would give something to the environment committee, something they can talk about their meeting next week, I think you said. Also something to reference at Earth Day. Hopefully that'll generate some more public interest. I want this to be a success. I just think we need to lay the groundwork for more. So anyhow, so if that is the background, I'm going to jump in, and my motion is that we introduce this resolution encouraging composting and providing composting as an opt-out service.
Second. Thank you, Councilor. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We're just.
Excellent discussion. And our last item, the last item is the manager's report, which will be followed by, since this is our town manager's last meeting. Is there a next administrator? So after, I know,
You mean to us.
we're having a staff,
Yeah,
we're
it's
having a
like that.
staff farewell on Thursday, but in terms of, since this is his last meeting, after he finishes his report, then we will go around, so everybody can make comments about that. Thank you. Now I'll turn it over to you.
Well, just quickly updating, so we kind of have 4 major capital projects that are in the works at different points in that. So one is the pool renovation. So tomorrow morning, council members Kumar Heller and I, as well as Matt Zaft, will meet with American Pool, and EJ will also be participating in that. And he'll be taking over in the interim to be part of that working group that oversees the construction and meets on that bi-weekly process to discuss the progress of that project. As of right now, we're looking in good shape. We've got we worked through a few difficulties related to permitting. But everything is progressing smoothly now. Certainly knock on wood, but we are looking positive for opening on time. And the other element to the pool renovation is Linda is right now in contact about doing upgraded chairs at the pool. So we have had the same strap chairs there for a few decades. They've been power washed, but so I think we're due for a little bit of a facelift in that angle. And so
I
Linda,
understand the structures are coming back, the retro roof is coming back. So as we move forward.
He's making that up.
Okay, come on, let's.
so in any case, well, we should have also some nice new chairs. And Linda's working with Ron as well to make sure that we're getting the right number of ADA compliant chairs. The street light installation, so EJ has also been introduced to the Pepco folks. Kyle, who is the project manager with Pepco, and he emailed last week to say that the final week of April they'll do that phase 3. So that will complete the LED streetlight constructions by the end of April for us. So we'll have all new energy efficient streetlights. And then we'll be able to move on to some of the future recommendations and considering those. Then we have our stormwater study. Bayland has been meeting with the residents over here at the corner of Dorset and Warwick, and is developing some recommendations to improve the drainage at that what we call micro watershed area. And then also there's another related to stormwater, but the drainage issue here, or I shouldn't say issue, but the drainage situation here behind the town hall. We have notified Montgomery County, who's planning to come out and dig it up and reset the rocks so it better channels the water back there to improve the flow of water, which some of the residents downhill from us also have asked us about. And then the other big one is the streets and sidewalks master plan. So we had, if you remember back in the fall, Dewberry had put together a townwide evaluation for us. And so now the next step is we have the data. Now let's turn it into a plan for us. And so again, EJ met with Dewberry, and they've been talking through kind of what they're going to need to do the next step. And then in addition to master planning, we're also figuring out the regular sidewalk maintenance that needs to happen every spring. So fixing tripping hazards, things like that. On the administrative side, there's a couple of different things that are ongoing right now. The trash contract we talked about I was able to have good extend our existing contract through the end of this fiscal year, which actually should benefit us because we're getting at what I anticipate will be a substantial discount. So EJ's put together a draft RFP. So the plan is over the next month, we'll get some bidders for that. He'll present his recommendations for you in May, and the council can approve it in June. So for next fiscal year, we'll have that in place. We have some permitting software that we're looking through, and I'd also mentioned before that we're waiting for the county to send back some recommendations on an MOU for the Little Falls Parkway entrance. Just the last couple of notes, just I'm preparing a couple of kind of departure documents. One is for staff of just running down, trying to impart some institutional knowledge, who to contact, phone numbers, emails, things like that, how we've approached it if this problem or that problem's come up, so we have a place to start. Linda and EJ, as you've sort of seen from my notes, I've been trying to pull them in on more and more things. So Linda and EJ are going to be able to kind of hold down the fort while a full-time replacement is being sought. EJ is looking to get his notary public credential so that after I leave, we'll be able to continue to provide that service for the town. And then last but not least, I just wanted to say thank you to you all, to all the residents too. It's been truly a pleasure to serve the town of Somerset. I appreciate all of you on the council, Mayor, Ron. I admire and look up to you for serving the town that you live in and trying to make it a better place. And it's very meaningful to be part of that process. And I appreciate the support that you've shown me, and the everything that you've entrusted me in to help be part of that process for you. So I just wanted to say thank you. Somerset means a lot to me. It will always mean a lot to me. I will check in with you and keep an eye on you. And I wish the town nothing but the best in the future. And I'm very honored and privileged to have been a small part of Somerset's history. And so yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what I want to do before we adjourn is, so first, since we are about the business of the town, to see if you have any questions, and then we will go around. Make comments about that.
No questions or comments? Okay.
One from the audience, Mr.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, we were not able to get in on Zoom. So we wanted to make comments. What's it called, man, the public time?
A public comment.
Yes, public comment. So before you adjourn, we would very much like to do that. That's why we've been saying,
Well, why don't we just talk after we adjourn?
will everybody stay?
All right, like then.
It's not a comment for you, it's. for
I know, but we don't, but, you know, there was a public comment period, and so whatever issue we'll be happy to
This was
discuss.
not
with you.
working.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, so we're gonna continue our meeting, then I'll talk to you afterward.
I don't want to talk to you. I'll come next month and talk to you. Well, thank you. It's for everyone. It's not for you. And I think this is outrageous.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Deborah, why don't you check in with Linda before the next meeting to make sure you're on the agenda?
I
Okay?
talked to Matt about whether or not to get on the agenda, and I was told to speak during public comments.
We can stay.
This is absurd.
We can stay a few minutes after.
Well, it's up to the mayor.
Well,
After the meeting, we can all stay for a few minutes.
Or can we add I don't care, we can want to talk, we can talk with you.
Yeah.
okay,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
okay, come,
From the-
please
from
come.
the podium.
Here.
So we sent all of you, the letter about our recent inquiries. Did all of you receive a letter from us?
No,
I did not, I did.
You did not.
My address doesn't work, but I think you used.
I
The
mayor just
sent
showed us
you
too.
Okay, please proceed.
about our recent inquiries into the cost of the stormwater management for our 200 square foot project. I think, Steve, you had said, oh, I had misunderstood. This was a rain barrel project, something simple. This is between $7,000 and probably $20,000. And we have to spend $4,000 before we even know what we're gonna have to spend. So we hope that when you read our letter, you will think about this town code and what we think is unintended consequences and an unfair burden on homeowners in Somerset who are making small changes to their homes. What the town is requiring is financially unrealistic relative to the scope of small, modest renovations. And this would be the same for anyone in Somerset, not just for us. So should I resend them, this letter?
Yeah.
Okay,
Send it to me, Deborah, and then I can make sure that it gets to everybody as well.
thank you. Dawn.
And just to know, we're talking about a $60,000 project. On top of that, including the civil engineer costs would be anywhere from 13 to 24,000. It's a really, really big increase on top of a $60,000 project, a very, very modest project. We're not gonna do it. It's
But
gonna
if
be
you read
prohibitive.
the letter, what the company that we went to said was that when a municipality requests things from them, that they have to use a civil engineer. They're not gonna sign off on something that they took from tables in Montgomery County. They're a professional organization, so we can't even know the scope of this without spending $3,750. And thank you for your time, and it's all. in the
Okay,
letter.
so when you came the last time, we urged you to come and work with the staff
I
to
did.
see if there, well, what was the result of that? Can they apply for a variance or this request?
Yeah, I think what we had talked about is, I think. The plan is that, Mr. Holzer, is it? Harry? Mr. Holzer and Ms. Schulman, we're gonna plan to. They have submitted an application, and so they were gonna make a request to the staff to present it as is with a variance. With an understanding of the hardship that it would cost, so not because there's anything peculiar or extraordinary about the property itself, but the undue hardship that it would cost to meet the letter of the law, but that they were willing to negotiate and meet the spirit of the law. And so tonight, the idea was not to discuss any specific merits of that case, but just to raise for the council's attention that there might be some room for improvement in, as the code is
In
written
the
right now.
code. And Matt recommended, to your point, Mayor Slavin, that I not raise the variance today, that would be out of protocol. And then I simply come to address you and the town council. And so that's why I'm standing here a second time after spending hours and hours of my own time trying to figure out why everybody here thinks it's a rain barrel. And I know it's $7,000 to $20,000.
Well, that's why there is an application process and the town manager provided you the solution to apply and then you would have a hearing.
Apply for a variance or apply.
Well, this is something,
I
this is,
followed your town manager's advice to the T. He has spent countless generous time with me and I've done everything he's told me to do.
okay, well, just like when you were here last time, we appreciate that you were here, that you came and read the letter, that we can't take any action on it
I
tonight.
understand.
Okay,
I'm doing what I've been advised to do by your
Right.
town manager.
okay,
And I will be coming to you next month asking for a variance and I will send you the letter. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Is there a formal application
We've done the formal
for the
application.
variance? The variance?
Oh, Matt said we just write a letter.
I think we've talked about that. I can let you know, but the long and short of it is, I think we have the information that we need to proceed.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so first round is to see if you have any questions. So,
I don't know.
I have no questions.
Thank you.
No question.
okay, Councilor Barr.
I noticed Rohit kind of has a question, and I'm going to try to anticipate this question, which is that some of our residents have cut back their plants from the sidewalk, and that's an improvement, but others have not, and signs, stop signs are blocked, still, and there are areas of sidewalk are still blocked. What other actions are you anticipating to,
Yeah, one of the as part of our sign inventory, we actually have a list of signs that are currently blocked by shrubbery and stuff. So I think like we did last spring when we cut back some others, or last fall, we'll do the same this spring. Make sure that the signs are covered. And then for private growth into the right of way, I mean, I think the answer, I guess it partially will depend on how the staff wants to handle it, but we've tried to use carrot as opposed to stick in the past and let people know. I think some of the most egregious offenses have been taken care of, not all of them. I think just taking stock of it, letting individual houses know again to cut it back, and before we go the route of using town funds to go around and cut people's growths, I think every opportunity should be taken to try to encourage them to do it with their own landscaping first, because it just has a potential
it's like the
to.
spread of,
Right, yes, yes. No, I mean, ultimately, if people continue to be in non-compliance and are creating a safety issue, then something needs to be done about it. But I think every opportunity to mitigate and avoid conflict probably should be taken before drastic action.
I think you're right, but I think in the future, we need to have some sort of
Okay, hold on.
ordinance to act on this.
Okay.
Well,
But hold on, wait a minute. So Robin's asking questions now, then you on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, man.
No question. I just want to wish you well.
No, we're gonna do
Oh,
that
do
in the
that
next
in-
round.
Okay, in that
Yeah.
case, I think, forget to wish well until later, but I think that we need to have some sort of code thing or ordinance, I don't know how we do this, because we have a fine lawyer at the end of the table, tell us how to do this. Where if we have to cut somebody's shrubs, they gotta pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would be able to do that and put, I don't know exactly how it works, whether it's a lien on the property for the value of the
I think
service,
I
but
think we already have that.
I think maybe more to the point is that our code right now, and I don't have it pulled up, so I don't know the exact language off the top of my head, but just says something to the effect of plants cannot grow into the public right of way so as to impede pedestrian traffic or something. That was a change from what it used to be that gave us specific measurements that they said you need to be this far away from a sidewalk, for example.
Okay,
And so sorry, just to put a bow on it, is just that when I'm walking down the sidewalk versus when Shannon's walking down the sidewalk, we may have different ideas on what's impeding the pedestrian traffic. So it is possibly something that could be looked at in the code. So
It's not clear in the code. It's also a matter of we don't really have strong enforcement procedures. And also when issues like this come up and when the town starts citing for these kind of things, then the residents, the citizens, act up about it. So it's the same issue that happened when we discovered that there are probably like 40 to 50 driveways that are in violation, driveway aprons. And so, and when years ago, when Larry Plummer, who's our enforcement officer there, when he tried to enforce it, everybody reacted and came to the council and complained. It's the same, this issue about the foliage. The problem with it is that people have these highly expensive plantings. And so we've had issues with people over the years we've tried to enforce it and they get terribly upset. And so, yes, we need to, have a discussion about it again, but, it's ultimately gonna be, someone's not gonna be happy. Okay, so, that's for another day. Good thing,
Okay.
Germany.
No question.
No questions.
Okay, so,
So,
no, Christina. So now we go around.
I just want to say
Talk
thank you.
about that.
Thank you very much, man.
I don't have anything
Okay.
to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. You've made the town hall feel organized, which is really wonderful. And I will miss you.
I want to say thank you. It's been an honor to work with you. And as I said to you once before, may you go from strength to strength.
Thank you.
Go from one strength to strength. Nice Jewish thing. Explain.
Thank you to the mayor for this opportunity. Matt, thank you so much for all the work you've done for this town. You put in countless hours. I think I mentioned on the emails that went around, you've left this, not only the town manager role, but the town overall in a much stronger position than you found it. And, let alone the fiscal position, just tons of processes. But also, as we witnessed today, people really like you. You are highly likable. Despite that tense moment, she was grateful for the engagement with you. And you've survived a lot of difficult and, tricky situations with residents. So you will be dearly missed, but I know that you will find, I hope, more excitement in Tennessee. If not, then we may all occasionally vacation there just to bring you some excitement.
You want to, I
Bring some strawberry issues
Yeah.
to the foreground.
And Councilor Rovak has the last word.
Matt, you are the best and everyone is gonna miss you deeply. Like, I know when the news first came out, I had many, many people contacting me being like, oh no. And I wish you the best of luck and your wife and your family in Tennessee. And yeah, they'll probably have a lot of different issues. But everyone will miss you tremendously. So thank you.
Okay, there's a motion to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
Adjourned.
So. Actually.